Hey, what is up, guys? It is Drew here, and we're back with Locked In with Drew and Wes. It's the second episode.
Yes, it is.
We made it to the second episode. I didn't think we'd make it this far. Anyways, a lot has happened. The trade deadline, Super Bowl is this Sunday. The NFL honors happened. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A lot.
A lot to talk about. With that being said, I think we're going to start off with the NFL honors, talking about the awards, the winners, how we feel. And yeah, this is a fun game we're going to call Deserved or Not Deserved. And yeah, we're just going to go off with the list, and if we have stats ready if we need to. But yeah, with that being said, starting with the Offensive Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud was the winner. Everyone that was up for it was Puka Nacua, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Bijan Robinson. So first we're going to start with Wesley being the answerer.
Yep.
And yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, CJ Stroud, right?
Yeah, CJ Stroud was the winner.
Yep. I'm going to go with a big deserved.
Deserved?
Yep.
I agree with that.
CJ Stroud, he had a great season, and he was injured for a little bit, and he still had great stats and played well.
And they did make the playoffs.
Yes, they made the playoffs.
And a lot of these awards are really, I think, off the regular season more than anything.
Yep.
But with that being said, they did have postseason success too.
Yes.
So it wasn't just it was a fluke and they didn't show up in the playoffs. And as a rookie, that's pretty big stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is. He brought a team that was very bad, and they just went for Will and Stroud.
Yeah.
And they made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're a good team.
The Texans did have a big night too, because with that being said, Defensive Rookie of the Year, also Texan, Will Anderson Jr., edge rusher.
Yep.
Everyone that was up for the award was Jalen Carter, Kobe Turner, Devon Witherspoon, and Joey Porter Jr. So with that being said, deserved or not deserved?
Will Anderson was deserved.
Deserved?
Yeah, I think he had a good season, and he helped the team with a bad defense coming to the playoffs the same way Stroud did. So, he was great. And Kobe Turner also had a good season, too, with 9 sacks as a rookie for the Rams. But.
Yeah, and that was you wouldn't tell me before the draft everything that Kobe Turner was going to be in this conversation.
Right.
But the Rams had big rookie step up this year.
Yes,
and
they did.
That was a big part of.
Half their team was just rookies.
Yeah,
it was pretty insane how many rookies they played this year, and just hits too. Puka Nacua out of the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
the most.
Losing Jalen Ramsey, adding these rookies, plugging them in. They all really played really well, and then they did have the veterans, of course, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, but a lot of rookies, stepped up. Puka was honestly, especially against us in the playoffs. He was better than Cooper Kupp statistically. He took over more.
He was. Stafford loved him. He loved throwing Puka.
Yeah.
They made schemes up for him all down the field. He was just hitting everything.
And he was the best waiver wire pickup in fantasy, I swear.
Yeah, he was too.
If you were one in your waiver wire when he came out, you're very happy.
He started the season off with 15 targets his first game, then went up to 20 targets in game 2. You're like, why is this guy getting this volume? What?
Yeah.
And then it's okay, well, most receiving yards by a rookie ever. So.
Mm-hmm. Which that does give, some serious stuff about the Offensive Rookie of the Year. But if Stroud did have a great year, so we're not gonna. But definitely a great year nonetheless.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, moving on to the Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey took that one home. Tyreek Hill, he had a great season as well.
Yes, he did.
CeeDee Lamb. And then Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott were in this award. But I think the Offensive Player of the Year often is not a quarterback because the MVP is such a quarterback award that it's and it's hard. You have MVP is usually offensive and the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
It's a weird setup where if Lamar won the MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year, you are it's a weird thing because now this guy has 2 awards and now it's not. There's nothing special about it, I guess.
Yeah, it's just it's probably the way it goes. And McCaffrey offensively, amazing. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, well, deserved. I think McCaffrey was deserved for that. Yes.
So now we're 3 for 3 on deserves.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I'm okay with those picks. All those players. I mean, Laporta and Gibbs were in the offensive rookie, but Stroud did bring a team that was nothing to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So our team was on that trajectory already. So
right.
But yep.
Right. Now, moving on to this one, I have my opinions on them. Of course, this isn't my turn. I won't be sharing them yet. But with that being said, Defensive Player of the Year, the winner was Myles Garrett. With the other candidates, we had T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons,
yep.
Max Crosby, and Deron Bland. What do you think?
I'm going to have to go with Myles Garrett for the DPOY. I think T.J. Watt had more sacks, and he had about the same amount of forced fumbles. And he had 19 sacks compared to Myles Garrett's 14.
Right.
And I know they both had pass deflections. T.J. Watt, I think, had a little bit more. So, did he?
Looking at the stats, he did have more pass deflections. He had the same amount of fumbles with 2 more fumble
recoveries.
Yeah, fumble recoveries. He had 3 of his 4.
Yep.
Myles Garrett had 1 of his 4. And then sacks. Yes,
5 more sacks.
5 more sacks. And then coming down to tackles, there was Myles Garrett had 33 solo tackles. TJ had 48 solo tackles. Yeah. And then the total tackle difference was 42 for Myles Garrett and 68 for TJ Watt.
Yeah. I just think TJ Watt is a huge presence, even with their record or not, because I think it's more of like, the Browns, with a lot of players out, had a superstar try to help them come up. But I mean, what would the Steelers even be if T.J. Watt was not giving you that production?
Right.
Like really.
And that defense, I mean,
he is a force.
Not to get off of the awards, but the Steelers themselves with T.J. Watt, if T.J. Watt's not on that team, like you saw in the playoffs, I think that Bills game. Of course, I probably still think the Bills win. But with that being said, I think T.J. Watt being removed from it was just like a soul sucker for them.
Yep.
And it was just like their best chance of winning the game is now removed.
Yeah, he's just insane. He really is.
Right.
He gets it done.
Mm-hmm. And I got my own opinions. Of course, I will be next with this. But with that being said, for the MVP, we have Lamar Jackson taking that one home. Second was Dak Prescott, along with CMC, Brock Purdy, and Josh Allen. Now, what do you think?
For MVP, I'm going to have to go with deserved for Lamar. They were hot all season. They did well all season. I mean, it was great to watch Lamar this season. And he had a ton of rushing yards on top of that. He was all over the place, making plays.
Right.
Rookies, A-Flowers with him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was great. He had the yards. He had the touchdowns. He had the touchdown to pick ratio to back it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
The Ravens were, I want to say they were the best record. I believe they were the best record in the NFL. Yeah, with 13-4, I think they were the best record in the NFL.
Yep.
So the best team. Quarterback wins isn't exactly a quarterback stat, but he's the most important player.
Right.
Most important position. It's kind of a quarterback stat.
Yeah.
I know Lions fans, of course, don't like that because of the Matthew Stafford defending of, well, wins isn't a quarterback stat because we would lose, but we think Matthew Stafford was as elite as he was. But at the same time, you got to, statistics sometimes, if they're not eye-popping, but you're seeing winning, maybe that's where the value truly is, too.
Right.
And this, of course, is a regular season award. That's why I'm not going to lie. If you include the postseason, Lamar's stock definitely dips. I mean,
yes, it does. But like you said, it's a regular season award.
Right.
They had the best record. They're the best team. Deserved.
Right. Now, with that being said, we're going to our last one because we only decided to do these ones. With that being said, Coach of the Year. I know you have some opinions on this for sure.
Yeah.
With that being said, the Browns, Kevin Stefanski, came home with this one. Now, interesting stat. Him and D'Amico Ryans were 1 vote separated from. D'Amico lost by 1 vote. There was 21 votes for first for Kevin Stefanski. And there was 20 votes for Ryans. So with that being said, also Dan Campbell came third, Kyle Shanahan was fourth, and John Harbaugh was fifth.
Yep.
With that being said, what do you think?
Oh, I just think Dan Campbell and the Lions this year just had a great season,
right,
and broke so many records, and we made it further in playoffs than them. I don't know if that's a regular season stat, but
right.
we had a better record than them. We had running backs break some history with how much production they had. We had tight end break history,
Right.
with how much
A lot of
production they
rookies
had.
stepping up, right?
Yep. I think that's a coach ability right there in itself. So
Right. And I mean, there was a lot of good coaches, of course. I mean, D'Amico turning this Texans team,
there's plenty of great.
it's very
teams.
deserving as well.
Yes.
But at the same time, we have the people we think deserve it the most. Of course,
Yeah.
it's always
I'm
gonna be up
just-
for debate.
We're the Lions.
We're
people.
Lions, yeah, we're Lions people. I'm sure Texans people, of
Yep.
course,
They're
Browns
pissed.
people, exactly. Like they're like no shit. Like we think, which I will say, Kevin Stefanski had 4 different quarterbacks or 3. I think it was 4 different quarterbacks.
Yep.
And throughout the year, that's impressive to still make the
That
playoffs.
is.
Absolutely. So I don't want to diminish that, but that is another thing with that. Is like that was cool, but like you said, Dan Campbell, we are Lions guys, so I'm not gonna put that by short. But okay, and then moving on to the Super Bowl. Like I said, it's this Sunday. Do a little bit of recap. I know we did talk about it last podcast, but now we have a little bit more context now,
Yep,
and
we
also
do.
anything that changed with our opinions. I still think, my opinion, I know that the Chiefs are going to be missing their starting guard.
Yep.
With that being said, I'm not going to move off of my prediction. I still think the Chiefs are going to win this football game. I'm going with Drake, as Drake put over $1 million on the Swifties, so I'm going to be doing that as well. Just not the $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't know. It just feels like this season is the Chiefs season. I don't know why. I think it's just like
you think it's just theirs for
Yeah,
to
I
just
just-
grab.
I just think that overall, like, it would just be the way the script writers would like it. And that's, I don't know. I just think Patrick
my
Mahomes, Travis
gosh.
Kelce, that connection. I wonder how Brock Purdy steps up in this moment, like I've said before. And
We'll see.
I don't believe in Chase Young. I don't. I'm off that train, as he is not the guy that I thought he was in Washington. I don't think he's the guy in San Fran. I don't think they'd bring him back. And I'm completely out on Chase Young. Completely out.
Completely out like that.
Yep. After
Just
seeing
think in the Super Bowl moment, he's just gonna say, "I don't want to be here."
he game away from the Super Bowl, and he just decided that too. So
Well, now he's in it. We'll see if anything changes.
right, and I mean, I think it's going to be a close game, like we've said. I don't know if
It's probably gonna be a close game. Yes.
and I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I think it's going to be a lot of like defensive stops. Chris Jones is going to have his impact. Nick Bolton's going to have their impact.
Yep.
Jerry Sneed's going to have his impact.
Yep. Javarius
But-
Ward.
Yes, like there's Nick
the guys.
Nick Bosa should, but also at the same time, Nick Bosa hasn't had a great year. I mean, he had a great game against the Lions, so I'm not gonna say anything. But his regular season, of course, wasn't like he wasn't the DPOY conversation. He still had an okay year, but not Nick Bosa caliber, as he is a Defensive Player of the Year former winner. So,
Right.
with that being said, I do think that the 49ers is a very good team. And you know what? You can say that I'm as salty from losing to them too, because you know what? That might play a little bit into it. That secretly, I'm just not really. Secretly, I just have a disdain for losing and not being in this game. But with that being said, I do think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I just think somehow they're going to pull it through.
The 49ers, I just don't think the Chiefs have the same O-line that the Lions have comparatively. And if TJ Watt, or not, okay. Not TJ Watt, but Nick Bosa.
Right.
If he had a great day on the Lions, or a good day on the Lions, what is he going to do with the Chiefs?
Right.
Now the guard's out. I think that O-line or that D-line, O-line battle prediction might come into play here. So, whether or not you believe in Chase Young, he's a physical specimen, and we will see.
Right. I don't know. I think also with Andy Reid, I'm putting my money on Andy Reid.
Yeah, Andy Reid.
Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. I'm just throwing all my chips, and I'm saying, look at all of these amazing plays. And I know that the 49ers have just as many, but I think the better quarterback, and I think that it's gonna. You know what? It very could come down to wide receiver drops fucking the Chiefs, and that could be absolutely possible.
Very possible.
But
it's just a battle of titans though out there. We'll see who's got the best of them, really.
But they stepped up against the Ravens, so I do think that there is a definite possibility that the guys will step up in the big game. And yeah, they had regular season like turmoil, like it was terrible. Like honestly, Patrick Mahomes had a bad year statistically. Because of all these drops, he was like, it was putting him in terrible positions, long third downs.
It was,
and his throws would be tipped off they'd catch it, tipped, and it'd be a pick. Kind of what happened week 1 against us.
That happened.
Yeah,
that happened sometimes.
And Kadarius Toney, I doubt will be playing as he didn't play last week. Well, I mean, I guess 2 weeks ago against the Ravens. With that being said, he had a lot of stuff on IG Live. I don't know if you saw it. He was basically saying that. He was saying how he wasn't hurt because he was put down as hurt. Well,
oh my!
And he was saying he wasn't hurt and that the Chiefs were doing him dirty, basically. And honestly,
that's a weird situation.
It's a weird situation, but I think that honestly, he's been so not good this year. He can't catch the ball, and it's just
he's not been trustable.
Yeah, in the big games, you need to have a guy you can trust.
Yes,
and I think it also doesn't look good to come out against your team. I think that you need to. I think they might have also put down an injury to an extent because you're either trying to make you look good to do you a service because he's gonna be a free agent.
Yep.
He's gonna need to go get another contract.
Yep.
If people know that the team that is going to the Super Bowl and the game before in the AFC Championship decide to not play him when they don't have a stacked wide receiver room, that looks horrible.
Yeah.
You probably aren't getting a contract, and maybe he can be a special teams guy. He's a very good, like, when he has the ball, he does great things. But
yes, he does.
He doesn't have great hands, and he isn't even really that great of a route runner currently. He's not looking very good.
You haven't seen much of it, that's for sure.
No. And honestly, when the Giants traded him to the Chiefs, it felt like the Chiefs fleeced them.
It felt kind of good for the Chiefs to get a Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, and
prospect, but
losing Tyreek Hill, not really having a one, bringing this young guy who was highly touted when drafted.
Yes.
Guy that we all like. When he's on the field, it looked good for the Giants. But with that being said, injuries and just poor performances. He's just not looking like the guy that he was supposed to be.
Yeah, that's probably the reasoning, but we don't know. So
right. And I don't know. We'll see. I haven't seen I don't think he's playing. So with that being said, I still think Chiefs are gonna win. He thinks the 49ers are gonna win. We will see this Sunday, and it'll be very interesting.
We'll see.
And
I'm ready for it.
I'm ready for it. I'm not super. I have a lot of Lions fans have been kind of talking to me too. It's a weird feeling. A lot of times you'd have a Super Bowl party. You'd do all this stuff. Missing the game almost kind of did put a little damper on putting a Super Bowl party on, because I'm not gonna lie, the Lions made it. We're doing a crazy Super Bowl party,
right?
And now I'm not sure what the plans are for me. I don't think we're really having much of a Super Bowl party. So, yeah,
it's just a little animosity between the 49ers now, but
you know what? That might be why I'm going against them.
A little bit.
I mean, I don't know. I know I've heard a lot of Lions fans saying that it's better to lose to the champions than to not. But at the same time, I don't really. Context, we lost our champion, so if we played the Chiefs, we would have won if we beat the 49ers. That's not how it works. That's not
right.
Games aren't subjective like that. So I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
No, I think that's dumb. But anyways, moving off of the NFL. And moving on to the NBA. The Pistons were doing some big moves. We saw them play today, this Saturday.
Big move.
And actually big moves, I guess, especially for the deadline, because the deadline was historically terrible.
Yeah, the deadline just didn't do anything.
DeJounte Murray didn't get moved. Nope. DeMar DeRozan. Levine just gets... He's hurt now. Our last podcast, we were talking about possibly picking him up. That was before... As you saw, I put the little text in. That was before he had announced he's having foot surgery and season-ending surgery.
Yeah.
So now Actually, that's a good question. I have my opinions on this. What do you think about Zach LaVine now? Are you at all interested, or are you completely out?
I'm kind of out now. I'm definitely out with the money and just the constant. I mean, we've gone through this before, kind of with Blake Griffin and getting players that are great when they play, but they're not playing for you. So
right,
what are you gonna? You're gonna pay them all this money for.
Right, and dependability is the best ability.
Yeah,
because a lot of players can be very talented, but if they're not playing in these games, you're losing any of that ability. It's terrible.
Yep.
And I think I'm out completely. I could give him up for, like, I don't even know if I'd want to do it for incredibly cheap. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be hard.
Yeah, it would be hard.
I know he's a very great player, but the injuries to his lower body is stacking up alarmingly. His athleticism is not looking good. He's starting to slow. He's showing a slow step, and it's getting worse.
Yep.
And
he is.
I don't know what the Bulls do. I'm not gonna lie, they're in like injury turmoil because Lonzo, Zach LaVine, like it's like this is going not exactly how it's supposed to.
And now it's just not going.
Yeah,
wow.
That's going to be interesting to see how they fix that issue, if they're going to try to contend, if they're going to sell. I sort of think that they want to keep DeMar long term. Well, DeMar is over 30 years old.
Yeah.
They are probably trending more towards a rebuild, if anything. Or, you can say restore. Well, the Pistons said that we're going to restore, and we are at fucking 8 wins. So, year 4.
Yeah.
Things don't exactly go the best. I mean, the way you planned it. Honestly, I think they're probably gonna have a dirty rebuild, a straight up sell, and they're gonna be fucking terrible. I think they're gonna be fucking terrible.
They could be,
because they're probably gonna have to fix this and just kind of move on. I mean,
what if Lonzo comes back?
If Lonzo comes back, I still don't know if they're anything more than a play-in team. You know what I mean? Are you also
as like a piece? Like, are you keeping him in this dirty rebuild that you're doing?
His age, honestly, we'll have to see what his injury's like. Yeah. Like, if he could come back and play, honestly, I wouldn't trade him before, of course, seeing what he's got. Because, honestly, his trade value is probably incredibly low. So, there's no point.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I think that I would keep Lonzo. I would probably look to shop Zach LaVine. DeMar DeRozan, I'd look at the value for sure. I mean, you don't give him up for nothing. Kind of like what we did with Bogey. You don't give him up for nothing.
Right.
Unfortunately, we probably could have got better packages last year, which we'll definitely talk about.
I think they could get a little more for DeMar than Bogey. But...
Right. Well, the age is different, but they maybe hold on to him a little longer than...
Maybe,
and play with young players, kind of like how we have with Bogey.
Just have DeMar help him out if you can. Yeah.
There is... And like Vucevic, they have Vucevic. They have young guys still like Kobe White. They have young guys like Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams hasn't got a whole lot of run, so it's kind of like you don't know exactly what you're getting here. But he hasn't had eye-popping crazy statistics and anything like that. So
no, it's gonna be rough for them. It's gonna be rough. Waters.
Now, with that being said, let's move on to the trade deadline. Let's look exactly at the trades. I'm gonna pull up the trades real quick.
Yep.
Starting off, I think we're going to do the trade that also...
Like we said, there wasn't much of splashing going on, so it was just...
Honestly, being a Pistons fan was fun.
About. Yes.
Because we did most of the moves.
Yeah.
And I did make a video about this also, if you would like to check that out on my channel, about... I didn't do the Alec Burks and Bojan move, but the Monty and the Simon move was definitely like a thing that I talked about.
Right.
And, with that being said, the Pistons traded Kevin Knox, a 2024 second-round picks, and the draft rights to Gabriel Procida, which was a draft pick that was an early second-round pick in the last couple years and hasn't been playing, has been a Euro stash the entire time. And... honestly, it looks like Troy Weaver gave up on him. And now we get Simone Fonseca from the Jazz.
Yes.
And he had a great debut. But first, before even talking about the debut, before even seeing the game today and all the numbers, what did you think of this trade initially?
I liked the trade. I did like the trade. So Simone is like a good forward who can shoot, who we've just kind of popped out of the Euro League like that. So, I mean, he's like, there's all these Euro guys been getting popped up, like, oh, Jokic out of the second round. Oh, here's Luka coming in.
Right.
It's like a lot of these guys are playing now, and these guys have some good talent. Even Bojan. Like, Bojan was from Europe, so.
Yeah. And I definitely like this move because it was like a no-risk move. I mean, you gave up Kevin Knox, who, yes, was getting good minutes for the Pistons, but also, and you gave up a second-round pick.
It wasn't a lot, and he's a good player to add to this team. We need shooting.
Yes.
What can he do? He's a pretty good shooter. He can hit down pretty good. So
right.
I like his shot. I like how he plays, his size for this team that is young and needs people like him.
Right.
You know.
And I think it's instantly today, Mike Muscala was in the starting 4 position next to Durant. I don't think that's going to stay for very long. I think
he's going
to overtake that. Probably, if it's not the next game, I'd be surprised if it not next game, it's going to be very soon. Very soon.
If you don't have him in fantasy yet, pick him up now.
Yeah, I looked and he was already picked up. So
yeah.
I was very instantly after the trade, someone picked him up. So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh
so
my gosh.
that was not. I was like, you know what? I started thinking about it more after I did my video. I'm like, you know what? He might get some starter minutes.
Right.
He might have some big performances. Fuck it, let's do it. And then he was picked up. So, but
that's tough.
But moving on to another trade, this one was later, closer to the end of the deadline. Patrick Beverley gets sent to the Milwaukee Bucks for Cameron Payne and a 2027 second round pick.
My take on that pick is I think the Bucks are trying to come back from not having Drew Holiday on their team anymore. That's just my take on it.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the best guard defender in the league, right? Considered to be. You can say Marcus Smart won DPOY, but Drew Holiday is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's that guy you want guarding people.
Right.
And Patrick Beverley, I mean, he's a dog on people, so I think they're trying to help that out. And I know Dame's been a little on and off. I don't know the Bucks record, but
they're at the top of the East.
Right. So yeah.
They're definitely playing.
I think they need some more defense with Dame on the court. So.
But also they're definitely underperforming. I mean, I think they're on 1-4. It was 1-4 last time I checked with Doc Rivers. That's not great.
Oh, that wasn't great. But I mean, that's a small sample size.
Yeah, very small sample size, and I'm not gonna say that this team is we need to be worried because Giannis and Dame and their core is very good. I honestly was wondering if players like Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, maybe were gonna get moved just for other try to refresh it, try to fix some stuff up.
Right.
But it sounds like they want to stick with their guys. I mean, this team won a championship a few years ago.
They did.
You're adding a all-star, all-NBA talent with Damian Lillard. He is a guy that hits big shots.
He is clutch. Yes, he's clutch. So I think adding Pat Bev, maybe that just helps them fill that role that they're missing already. You know,
right.
He's that guy that you usually want playing defense on people now. So
right, and I think he's also going to bring a mentality to the team.
Yep.
I saw this thing on Twitter that he was asking. He tweeted out to tell Campaign to do his physical so the trade could get through so he could play for the Bucks. He's like tell Campaign to hurry up and do his physical so I can play today or something like that. I don't think it ended up happening, but it was just he also just brings a dog mentality. The guy is a dog. The guy he's not the flashiest player.
No.
He's not the best player.
No.
But his effort level is incredibly high. And his drive is incredibly fucking high.
Yep. Him and Giannis, those personalities together is going to be quite the thing to watch.
Yeah, and honestly,
Dame mixing in there,
yeah, it's gonna be great. This team has been struggling, but not. It's a very interesting thing.
Right.
They have a great record, but they're losing games that they shouldn't be losing. They're doing questionable things.
Right.
They're underperforming probably for honestly their expectations.
It's just their expectations.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs kind of struggled in the NFL, and then they kind of came into the end, and have been riding it since. So.
And playoff basketball versus regular season basketball is definitely different.
It's definitely different. So, and Giannis has showed us he can light it up if he wants to, and we know Dame can too.
Oh yeah.
So.
It's that duo is nasty. That's why hitting the red alert because of certain, like, they've been underperforming is not exactly what I would say someone or even Bucks fans should be doing, because they are a very, very talented team.
Yeah.
Very, very talented, and they are only going to get better.
Yeah.
The chemistry will improve, and adding players like Pat Bev, playoff ready players, playoff experienced players, guys who win basketball games, that is always gonna it's gonna help your team.
It's gonna be a great help for them.
And for campaign in a second, it's not bad.
That's not bad.
It's
not bad. They're not giving up a lot of assets. So
no, maybe because it's gonna be only close to a 1 year, 2 year rental because of his age.
Right.
But at the same time, Giannis, like, you have Giannis, you have Dame, you're winning right now. If this can help you win right now, you're doing the move 10 times out of 10 times.
Right. So
with that being said, moving on to another move. This one was a kind of a shocker when it kind of happened, too, because of the amount that the Mavericks paid. The Mavericks getting P.J. Washington from the Hornets. They gave up the forward Grant Williams, formerly on the Celtics.
Yep.
Seth Curry, and a 2027 first-round pick.
It's not too bad. But I like P.J. Washington to the Mavs.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. He's going to bring a lot of talent.
And he had a good debut, all things considered.
Yeah.
He was like plus 20.
I didn't see his debut.
Yeah, he was like plus 20 on the stats sheet, and he had a good game. He didn't play a ton of minutes, but he was efficient. He played good defense, and
wow.
So it was
that's what he was coming in for. Some good forward defense, power forward defense in that spot, especially if he's got another big guy next to him. He does really well with big centers next to him. On his defensively wise, I think he's just able to help and really lock in with that stuff. So and he can knock down the 3 ball. We knew that was kind of a very good move.
Right. And the Mavericks were shopping around. They were interested in Isaiah Stewart. It looks like that was what they were looking to get done at the deadline. Getting a 4 that can play defense, space the floor, and be a complementary player to Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic.
And that was the right price for him. So
now, I will say, giving up a 2027 first, as it is still a ways down, and if you're the Mavericks, you're like thinking that pick probably doesn't matter, because if you have Luka Doncic, you're not going to have a high pick.
Right.
But at the same time, initially I thought it was a little bit of an overpay, I will be honest, because getting off of Grant Williams' contract also probably has a price. So I will say, overall, I still like the move for them. I don't think that it was a bad move. I think initially it kind of caught me off guard. I didn't really think of adding a first there was going to be necessary. And also Seth Curry really wasn't playing. So with that being said, I don't think that... Also, honestly, something that is talked about, Steph and Seth, dad played for the Hornets. Not Wardell, what's his name? Dell Curry.
Oh.
So that's kind of fun, having a little bit of
okay.
Curry returning to the Hornets. That was just something I noticed.
Interesting, yep.
I don't know how much he's going to play, honestly. He probably won't play very much.
Right.
But it was just something random, kind of funny. But honestly, this trade, we're going to see the effects in the playoffs. That's where we're going to see, was this trade worth it or was it not? Yep. Because that is going to be where PJ Washington needs to show his work.
You might as well help Luka and Kyrie. You know, if you're gonna have Luka in his apparently his prime, because he just is amazing. But
he's just been amazing since being drafted.
It's just all time prime. But I don't know.
Right.
With Kyrie there, you add some forwards, you add some good bigs to mix in with them. That's gonna be dangerous.
And you can't. The thing I was kind of feeling like with the Pistons with Kate, when you have a guy like Luka Doncic, you can't waste time. Right. If you waste time, he's gonna get impatient because he wants to win. He wants to, not that he wants to build his resume also, but he wants to win basketball games. He wants to be in the big moments because he's that type of competitor. If you are underperforming consistently, you're not doing moves to win basketball games, he's going to leave. LeBron left. Kevin Durant, OKC did everything right, and Kevin Durant left. So with that being said, you need to win basketball games to keep your best players.
You got to compete. You got to at least be in situations where you give those players a chance.
Right. Right.
Especially when they're so talented like that. You
exactly.
You have to, right?
If Luka leaves the Mavericks, I don't know what. That would be terrible. I'm not saying that's going to happen.
It'd be like a Luka, because KD would be there. So it'd be like a Luka KD.
It would just but it'd be something random. They meet up in the He's been to Brooklyn. He's been to Phoenix. He's been to the Warriors. He'd be like something stupid. He'd let's go fucking meet up in Charlotte and let's just go to LaMelo.
Okay, LaMelo.
We're just gonna meet up. And now the big three is LaMelo, Luka.
Playmaking. Oh my god.
It would never happen.
It would never.
No, never happen. But anyways, moving on. Now another Pistons trade. This was the bigger move. I did make a small TikTok about this move on my TikTok. I initially said we got fleeced. I will be fair. That I did say that.
Is this the best player that was traded during the deadline?
Bojan?
Is he?
I mean, I guess if you want to say he's better than PJ Washington, I probably would say he's better than PJ Washington.
Probably a little bit.
I mean, just because of the statistics he's putting up now, over 20 points, type of guy. PJ Washington's more.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, he's probably like, if you're not the best, he's tied with the best. I mean,
right. With that being said, Bojan and Alec Burks going to the Knicks. The Pistons get Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, Quinn Grimes, Ryan Arkin Conoco. What? How do you say that one? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're sorry, Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
No, we do not. Anyways, going and 2 second-round picks. So, with that being said, I want to hear your opinion because I've already kind of said my opinion on it, but definitely, I've definitely gained more. I'll say my opinion next. You go first.
Okay. I like Grimes. That's the main piece that we're talking about getting is Quinn Grimes probably, and him and Sasser play together. So if you want to start building chemistry with these young guys, and off the bench, either whether they start or off the bench, they're gonna be playing together at some point.
Right.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what he can do with people that he knows and has played basketball with. you know? It's gonna be interesting. So.
Right.
I don't know, Bogey and Burks for it. We're getting Fournier. He's got on a team deal. We'll be able to not have him next year. Paid like what?
17, 18.
17, 18 million, something like that. And then the rest is just some fillers for the trade. But I don't know if they're worth what we gave up. But I wish we could have got a first, like we were talked about last year a little bit, but we will see how this goes. We are the process now. We're just gonna trust the process.
Trust? Do you have your trust in Troy?
We're gonna hope that we trust him, and then we're gonna trust him, and then we're gonna see what happens.
Well, and that's like I've got asked that. Do you trust Troy Weaver? I don't have a choice. He's not going to be fired. He's going to have another off season, so I'm just hoping that it goes well.
I'm hoping so too. We're looking competitive.
Right.
I like the good forwards with shooting and some defense and size in the team with us, with our good guards that we have, a lot. And Ren to help him because he can't shoot, but he's amazing and he's like Dwight Howard or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
Right. Now, initially I said we got fleeced. Initially because it lacked our first. The big thing that we wanted, because initially Woj kind of dick teased, because I was on Twitter on the deadline. I was scrolling, I was trying to keep up with everything, to see if a big move so I could cover it. With that being said, I initially the trade was broke news as Alec Burks for Quentin Grimes in seconds. I was like, holy shit!
You're right.
I'm like, we just fleeced them, and this is amazing because Quentin Grimes, him in New York were not happy. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was a known thing. And then they gave up they get back Alec Burks. Alec Burks was a former Knick. He's been very good for the Knicks, so that almost kind of made sense too. Now the seconds probably would be a little too much, but also if you're moving off a player you're not happy with,
right?
There's a tax.
There's kind of a tax sometimes, and you got to find your suitors. And do you want to do it now? Are you gonna wait? What's gonna happen with that? So I just kind of. That's what you thought, but
then more context comes. Bojan's a part of the deal.
More context.
And then we're like, everyone's kind of waiting. Pistons Twitter's going crazy. We're like, did we get our first? Like, where's the? Because you just added Bogey, so what's the other part of the deal? And then you see Evan Fournier and like, right, but like, what else? Like, and then you get Malachi Flynn, and then
you're like, oh,
right.
Yeah.
What else? And then you get Ryan, and you're like, we're not getting our first, are we? We're just throwing shit in here.
Yep.
And then you don't get our first. And I've had some time to process. I'm excited about this team, of course. Now, looking at it more, maybe to be overvalued Bogey, a 34, almost 35-year-old guy that, yes, was putting up 20 points, maybe wasn't. I mean, he's not a defender. So with that being said, just because he had a high value to our team doesn't mean that he has a high value across the league.
And I've been okay with like, we could have got rid of him when he had a little more value, like we thought he had before, like even like last season or something. We thought we could get some first for him, or at least one first for him, in some type of deal, but we decided not to. We thought he was going to help the rebuild. We thought we were going to win this year because usually going into the year, you're going to win some games, and
the goal was to make the plan, or at least compete for the plan.
At least compete for the plan. I would be happy with competing for a plan.
Right.
And
with that being said, we weren't even close. So that's kind of also where the Bojan trade, I think, had to happen this year, because
I knew he just his age. I love him, great player. He does great things. I mean, in the NBA, but it's just not what we needed at that time. And I know everybody thought he was great on the team, but I think we needed to move on and get it. And not saying that we needed more young players, because we do need veteran help.
Right.
Just you try to move him for another guy that's a veteran as well.
Right. And honestly, looking at this more, I don't hate this trade. I actually kind of like it, because looking at it more now, I don't think the rumors of 2 first-round picks was ever true. I don't think. I'm not going to believe that. Now,
but possibly one would be.
Do you take Quinn Grimes, a guy that is a great defender, a guy who can shoot the 3, a guy that is someone that or do you roll your dice with a pick that's probably going to be, if you give them Bojan, they're probably a contender? It's probably in the 20s. So with that being said, I'm still okay with this trade. Now, I want to know what the other deals on the table was to have context to compare.
Right.
But the biggest thing I didn't like was we traded Bojan with 2 hours remaining in the deadline. I think Troy should have put his nuts on the table and said, I'm going, and try to get more. Try to get something more. You know what I mean?
With some more time left.
Yeah. Now, if you did, the trade was done at 3 o'clock, okay, you know what? That's fine. Obviously, you played it out. They didn't budge, which sounded like they weren't going to budge it, though. So at the same time, they didn't plan on moving off any first, because I think they want to use that for trade chips. That's kind of the whole reason we want our first as well. But with that being said, and I want to make it clear, because I've had some confusion with me saying this to some other people. We're going to get our first this year. You know what I mean? It's more for be able to trade it. That's really what we're talking about here.
Right.
It's not really that we're not getting.
It's the Stephen rule.
Yeah. So it's not like we're not gonna get we're the worst team, but we're not getting a pick. We're going to get our pick. We're gonna get our pick. So don't worry about that, Pistons fans. We're totally having our pick, because it'd be disastrous to be 8 wins and not getting. That would be some Brooklyn Nets shit. Wouldn't that be terrible? And
oh jeez.
But anyways, moving on, as I am excited about that trade. I think Grimes did not play today, and the Pistons look great, so I'm not going to say that. I'm excited to see him play, for sure. So I don't want to belittle that. I think Grimes is definitely going to have a role in this team.
I would like to see it.
Now, this trade is, like I said, this trade does not have a lot. So we're kind of...
Yep. We're
drawing at straws here for all the fucking trades. But with that being said, Gordon Hayward is going to the Thunder. For Trey Mann, Vasilij Micic, and Davis Bertans, and draft compensation, which is a first-round pick. Let me see. I did take a picture of this. I didn't take a picture of this. My bad. Not I took a picture of the Dallas first. That's what I did, and that first is not that crazy protected. It's not protected. So that being said, the draft compensation I believe I think it was a second-round pick. I believe. So with that being said, it wasn't that crazy.
Right. It's nothing like that's
right. And the protection of a second-round pick, honestly, very little value. When it's the OKC Thunders, they're gonna be a later pick anyways. So with that being said, this trade, honestly, probably not a whole lot here, but
it's not much. Gordon Hayward, it's kind of sad what's happening with Gordon Hayward. He's the same way with his injuries, where he's just not having a great time. So
right.
And the Thunder are stacked right now. I'm sorry, he might come off the bench, could be a bench scorer, but if he's playing,
Right.
But the Thunder are stacked. Like,
yeah.
They're so stacked right now.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the Thunder. I think their team is built well.
And they're young, and there's older Gordon Hayward. I don't see them playing a lot of.
No.
And it's
a
just
cap eat thing, So.
Yeah. And I think that maybe he can be a veteran, hopefully, to play some decent minutes in the playoffs, maybe. But it's a bench role. It's definitely not anything more than a bench role and a veteran to be on this team that's going to be a very young team going to the playoffs.
Right.
Shea's not very playoff ready. Not saying that he's not going to play well, but he's just not very experienced, I guess. He's definitely playoff ready. Yeah.
That team's interesting.
Shaq, they're gonna be a J-Dub, Dort, Dort, like
Isaiah Joe, you can go down the list. These guys got some talented players.
The other Jalen Williams, the big man.
Yep. I think they are playing him a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's, I think he's probably gonna have a lower role, but at the same time,
like I said, could be bench scorer. Could even start and just be a guy that's there to score when he's open, or something like that. Because there's so many playmakers in that starting lineup. You're giving it to those guys every time.
Right. Now, with that being said, the Sixers add a knockdown shooter, a player that the Pacers have been trying to move off of for a little bit now, Buddy Hield. And they gave up Marcus Morris, Korkmaz, and 3 second-round picks. Korkmaz did get released, by the way, just to make sure that there's all context.
Right.
But, so he's going to be, he's a free agent currently. But Morris is still on the team, and the 3 second-round picks. So
the 3 seconds, I mean, that's not terrible, but that's interesting. Adding a lot of shooting around Embiid if he's playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Embiid's getting injured now too, and it's like, Embiid, we want to see you play, man.
Right.
Whether or not you're cheering for that team or not. So it's nice to see great players play.
And we can kind of talk about that. Embiid, he was limping through that game. I don't think he should have kept playing.
Probably not.
And I know
everybody's had the pressure on.
Well, and I think that there's a new stipulation with the MVP that there's a minimum amount of games. And Embiid wasn't going to be able to make that track probably by pace.
Probably not.
For
resting games and sitting out when he felt
especially if he missed
sore
this.
Or really bad.
So I think he wanted to tough it out, and also I think he wanted to also tough it out for his team, be a leader, set a standard.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that kind of burned him, and he's going to miss weeks now, several weeks. So now we're looking at him coming back before the playoffs, not like getting to have the rest of the months going up to the playoffs, and he definitely has removed himself, even though he's having a great year statistically.
Seeing Embiid getting ready for the playoffs. Starting to turn up a little bit, but we'll see.
Which, I mean, they're a very solid team. I could see them definitely.
They are. And adding that helps you, keep scoring during a game because Buddy Hield is a knockdown shooter.
And you have Tobias Harris still. You have Maxey.
Yep, another shooter. Maxey's a playmaker. Mm-hmm. So you just, I think they're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But Embiid, get healthy, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely want to see you on the court. I know MVP is something that he could have had back-to-back of if this went right. Honestly, I think the NBA needs to maybe rethink that. And I know, to an extent, you need to have a minimum. You can't have, 30 games played.
Right.
But at the same time, if players are going to be playing through obvious injuries to do this for accolades, honestly, I don't think it's worth it.
I don't think that's worth it
And
either.
I think you should just take it into take that into factor when you are deciding the MVP.
Right.
Instead of this guy going out and possibly messing up his rest of his season. It could have been way worse. He could have been out for the rest of the year.
Oh yeah.
Things could have been done. He was not looking good at all. I don't know why they kept him in. Honestly, I think that was incredibly. That was a dumb move by their coach.
A great move.
Terrible move. And now your best player is going to be on the sideline for the next couple of weeks. So you can ponder that while you look down at your fucking bench and see your best player that averaged 30 points on the bench. So. Now, with that being said, not to get hard on the coach, but just genuinely, if Monty Williams did that for the Pistons with Cade, I'd be livid. Accolades are cool, but
injuring your best player just because
And maybe
it's just not worth it.
And maybe Embiid said he wanted to stay in, and I understand, but sometimes you have to protect players to a certain extent. If he looked hurt from the TV. Being there, seeing him on the court, you know he's hurt. No, so I don't know. Now this one, oddly, one of the bigger moves, which is still not a very big move.
Right.
Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji is going to the Toronto Raptors. The Utah Jazz are getting back Otto Porter Jr., Kyra Lewis Jr., and a 2024 first-round pick that has the least favorable of OKC, the Clippers, or Houston if it lands between the 5 and 30 pick, and Utah. It'll go to Utah's if it's the 11 through 30 pick. So with that being said,
I think Utah has a chance.
Yeah, right. Honestly, I will be completely honest. The way they describe these picks, like,
it's kind of ridiculous.
The protections, it's very specific. I mean, the Pistons have like quite a few on. Like, I think this current first has like 2 or 3 protections on it. Right. So it's like you're looking at that and you're like, it's very odd. I understand that deals need to be done so you can, and you throw in this in of like, oh, you possibly could get a first here if this year plays out this certain way.
Right.
So I understand that.
It's weird how
it's just,
they just
as a viewer,
whether or not their teams are gonna, that team's gonna be able to give me this pick on this year. Like,
right.
Like,
but
odd.
Now, what do you think of this trade? Honestly, the Jazz definitely kind of just moved off of players.
Yeah, moving off of Kelly, and it's interesting. And like, there's not too much to it. But.
Right. And Ochai isn't having like a crazy year. He's really not playing. His efficiency isn't very good. It's on low points per game. He's only getting he's a very much a reserve role. Kelly is a valuable player.
He's
shooting at 7 feet tall is always going to be helpful. I don't know what the Raptors are doing. I don't know if they're wanting to compete or if they're wanting to kind of stay younger. They're kind of doing some moves that are kind of conflicting themselves a little bit.
It's interesting.
But also you do have to get stuff back for your players. And they did get a haul for Pascal. So maybe they're just thinking with those picks.
They can do like a quick little rebuild here or something. I don't know. He might not be part of the future plans, but he could be. You don't know.
Right. And I mean, he's not young. He's not old. And his game, I think, is honestly going to age pretty well. His defense, of course, is not going to get better. But he's also not really much of a defensive center as it is. He's the guy who spaces the floor. He'll be a reserve role, and he will be able to, like, when you're down and you need to put a big man in to be in this lineup to shoot threes, he's going to be there. He's going to knock down the three. And we know that as Pistons fans. He was on our team, and he was, honestly, a very good shooter. Now, the rest of his game has question marks, especially sometimes we've watched in Pistons games.
Yes, I remember watching a Pistons game.
In person,
watching Kelly Olynyk, yes.
And it was an interesting time. When he shoots a three open and he bangs it, we're feeling amazed.
You're getting up, you're like, 3, man. But
yeah.
It's just, interesting game for sure.
And then Monte Morris, local Michigan, from Flint Beecher, not far away from us. With that being said, he is going to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Shake Milton, Troy Brown Jr., and a 2030 second round pick.
Wow.
That is a very long way away.
Yeah.
But
for pick, like, relevance wise, that's just.
But at the same time, it's a second round pick. Relevance for a second round pick.
I guess
you have steals
a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So with that being said, my opinion, Monte Morris was struggling, and he missed most of the year. We had an overload at guards anyways, and we also saw Sasser starting to emerge. So it was really becoming we need to clear minutes for Sasser, this rookie who's playing well. We can't, and maybe let's try to sell Monty to a contender, and then we got back Shake Milton, who I don't know if he's going to play that much with Troy Brown Jr.
Troy Brown Jr. is decent and
and
athletic.
3D.
And 3D. And yes.
He's been shooting well. Both guys are known, like, historic shooters. They're above league average.
That's what we needed. I mean, it's not that bad. We're talking about this trade deadline not being that crazy, but we made some of the most. We made like the most moves, or something,
And we made moves. Our roster, like, I think, like, I saw a like a reporter, like a beat reporter. He was like, this is the first time like going into after a trade deadline and like being like, where is everybody? Because like, it's completely new. Like the game that we played on the trade deadline, we literally had 7 players against the Kings, I believe it was, and it was just like because half of our roster is being like coming switched around, and now
even like a lot of extra players, like we're gonna have to cut players, like.
And there was a time during the deadline we had around 18 players, 19 players, and then we just we cut down to the 15. I'm hoping that at least we tried to trade these guys. You know what I mean? Right. I'm sure we did. Made some calls. These teams probably though like you have 18, 19 slot like players. You're gonna cut these guys. We're gonna just sign them later if we want them. We're not gonna give up anything worth value. And honestly, even then, like if you were gonna trade like Ryan, if you were gonna trade like Killian, like we're talking about second round picks and probably protected second round picks, which is not even really that much of value. So I like this trade. Looking at it today, Troy Brown Jr. had a good start, good debut.
He did. Well.
We're finally making a roster that kind of makes sense. Having shooting, having like you said, Bogey and Burks were veterans. You want veterans on your young core. But that doesn't mean that those veterans are better than these veterans.
Right, these other players who are also have been playing in the NBA. It's like you got to find what your puzzle's working with, and it's just that's what we're trying to do, I guess. So.
And both of these guys are on team options.
Yep.
So with that being said, if they play well, we'll accept that team option, and they'll be here. Honestly, I'm hoping Troy Brown is 24 years old. I kind of like Troy Brown Jr. as a bench piece.
I like that. I like him as
a depth piece. Like I don't know. We'll talk about the free agency and like what we think we're going on in the off season, but I like Troy Brown Jr. as a guy for sure. 3-and-D, and he plays good defense. Today he was hitting threes and he was playing great defense against a top team.
He was.
And we'll see in like about 6 years about the second round pick. But I'm not expecting much. For Monte Morris, he was shooting horribly. Like, it was horrendous. It was terrible. It was under 20% from 3, 30% from the field, and it was just, you could tell he was not really ready. He missed most of the year.
It's just not helping us.
And so, and with Kevin Killian, Sasser, Ivy, like, you want to play Ivy, you want to play Sasser. You want these guys to develop.
Yep, you do.
And also, that was part of the Burks move, too. An overhaul of these guards. And we did that also with having Livers and Bagley being sent because these forwards were also... It was a logjam.
It was. Now we got people who can shoot and knock down open shots.
And that with Ivy and Cade.
And Cade.
And Duran, when you're doing pick and rolls or you're attacking at the rim, the best thing is to be able to kick, and that 3 is going to be a reliable... It's not going to go in every time, of course. That's not how the NBA works.
You want guys that are shooting well, though.
And people teams have to respect.
Yes, exactly.
And the defense with these guys is going to not be a thing like Bogey, where you attack it and you watch. He's getting put on an island with the last 2 minutes of the game. They're just attacking him specifically. They're not doing that for Troy Brown Jr. They're not doing that for Shake Milton. And Shake Milton had a great career but had seriously good seasons with the 76ers. There's potential. You know what I mean?
There is.
I'm not saying that I'm guaranteeing it. Honestly, if I had to pick one that's staying, I'm picking Troy Brown Jr. But Shake Milton, even if he's not a Piston, I think he's going to be a valuable piece somewhere. Now, with that being said, the Celtics traded for Xavier Tillman of the Grizzlies, and they gave up Lamar Stevens and 2 second-round picks, one in 2027, one in 2030, so further down the line picks. What do you think about Xavier Tillman on the Celtics?
It's not much, but he's a bench center who I think he's kind of good at getting steals, so that's kind of interesting for his size and everything.
Right.
So he's just another roster filler. It's not like it's like you think that if they're competing and they want to add more pieces, they maybe go for something, but it wasn't much. It's not much really. So
they did add from the Blazers. They added Danilo Banton. Bigger forward, bigger guard for a heavily protected second round pick. So we're looking at 2 they're studying a lot of second round picks.
Right.
But also, they're adding like these players that have size, maybe have like certain things that are valuable to them because their picks aren't going to be very high. Maybe they're buying in on some of these guys that haven't been getting a ton of minutes. But both these guys, I don't think, especially because it's a contender, it's a little different than teams like us where we have an interchangeable rotation because we're not good. We're trying to figure out how to be a respectable NBA team, which we look like today, by the way. But
I mean, you just gotta find guys that do well in those bigger minute roles and get a good lineup around them.
And these guys are probably depth pieces for the playoffs. Injuries hit. Right. Okay, now we gotta look to you.
Right.
We like these guys. We like their games, and they're. I mean, I think that this move with Danilo, he's a bigger guard. He's a big. Or if you play him at the forward, either way, he's got size to him, and
he's pretty big.
Yeah,
he's like
he can handle the ball.
So he's quite large. Yeah.
Right. So and for a heavily protected second round pick that they might be just getting back.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
If it's heavily protected, it's likely if you're not in the championship. If I take an assumption, you're probably getting your second.
Right.
But I believe that's all the trades. Let me double check just so I can make sure. That looks like all the trades that we wanted to cover because honestly there wasn't really, like I said, this was a low-key
very low-key trade deadline, and
we were unfortunately our first year of doing a podcast, the trade deadline for the NBA sucks.
It's terrible.
And
I mean, a lot happened with our team personally.
Yes, and honestly definitely excited about that. Luckily we are Pistons fans because if we were not, this podcast would have very little to talk about for the deadline.
Yeah, it would. But luckily you get to hear some Pistons talk on what we did and what we're trying to do. So
yeah. Now, moving on, not this weekend, but next weekend, we have the NBA All-Star Weekend. We're not going to talk exactly about All-Star snubs because everyone kind of talks about those. And anyways, like you said, like me and you talked about
there were a couple players that got injured, like Embiid and
Julius Randle.
Was it Julius Randle?
Yes.
Yeah. So like Trae Young and somebody else got in as well, which he was one of the candidates for snub. So
right.
I mean, it's like there's so many good players. Like what do you?
And
someone's gonna be not in it.
Snubs, snubs. It's like difficult because there is a limited amount of players, and there's so many good players now.
Yeah, there is.
There's been the most offensive talent, I can say for sure.
We've had we're struggling to find ours, but yes, there's a lot of good players. Yes.
Hey, you know what? It's coming along.
It's coming along.
We'll see how the rest of the season goes. Definitely going to be talking about that in further podcasts because this team looked good today. We're definitely we're enticed about this. But now, looking on to the slam dunk contest. I talked about this because there's the first time since 2018 we're having an all-star participate in the dunk contest.
Yeah.
And that is Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. Also, in the dunk contest, there is the the reigning champion, Mac McClung. So that's gonna be very entertaining.
Yeah, reigning champion for a reason, man.
Obi Toppin, who was a member of the dunk contest or participant of the dunk contest for several years, his little brother Jacob Toppin will be also participating.
Hey, it's his turn.
This turn. I mean, that family is very athletic. I'm excited to see his younger brother. Maybe he'll get one.
Maybe
Obi never got one. I don't think. So, and then lastly, Jamie Jaquez from the Heat. Kind of a surprising move for me. I haven't really paid attention to the Heat a ton too, so I will say that. But I haven't really thought of him as a athletic guy like that, like more than like he's a high flash dunker.
Right. We'll see what he can come up with. You never know. Sometimes we get very disappointed, but we will see. So I mean, I don't think we're gonna see the builds, but
well, with Mac McClung, I don't think we're gonna have one good participant. I think Jaylen Brown,
you have no hope in Obi Toppin's smaller brother.
I have hope in the. Right. I'm just saying, you were talking a little bit ish about it, so I was just like, there's one thing I know for certain: Mac McClung's gonna have a night.
Right.
And honestly, if I like the betting odds, it's gonna be terrible. It's like minus like 10,000 for Mac McClung to win it because he's gonna pull out some stupid shit.
He's gonna do something new, like he said last time. He's just like, I'm just gonna do some new stuff. So it's gonna be interesting
and
exciting.
With Jaylen Brown doing this, hopefully this is a new trend because all stars players don't really do it anymore. Like the last one was Victor Oladipo. That was the last one. That was 2018. Yeah. And like we're looking at this stuff, and it's like we already missed out. LeBron never did a dunk contest, which sucks because we saw Michael, we saw Kobe.
Yep.
And and we had like amazing dunk contests.
We saw Vince.
Yeah. Like there's been some really great stuff. And then recently it hasn't been the best. We're not looking at like
I mean Mac McClung, let's give him his credit because last year he came in.
He brought some energy.
He brought some stuff, man.
And I hope Jaylen Brown has a good night. And I really hope like just the best for many reasons. One, just for him personally, but also so that all stars see a motivation, see a reason to do this. Because like once all stars and the dunk contest is cool again, and you're starting to like see this like as what it used to be.
Yeah.
This is when you have the guys that come in like maybe Anthony Edwards does a year.
Oh.
Maybe you see John Moran does a year.
Zion does maybe a year.
Yeah, like there's ultra athletic guys in this league.
Yep.
And it's just a shame to not have them. Like,
Donovan Mitchell. Has he been in one before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Paul George is probably older now, but like Paul George, he's a crazy athletic guy who does great in-game dunks, especially when he was younger. And he never did a dunk contest. Like, there's just like all these great dunkers that honestly we're hoping do get some like motivation,
traction into going and doing it. Like,
right.
At least 1 year try it. Like,
right. And it'll be interesting. We will see. I mean, I'm not going to rule out the potential of this helping a new wave, new trend, but also we're gonna have to see how Jaylen does. We're gonna have to see everything that happens. If Jaylen gets some big hype, if it helps, maybe he gets some deals, sponsorships that and maybe a financial bonus that like you'll see like that, like with the sponsorships. Maybe then these also like, well,
right.
If I do this dunk contest, I win this dunk contest. I might make a couple extra $1 million. Now I have another trip I can go on or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Like, but anyways, now this is interesting. We're going to talk about the 3-point contest, but also they have a brand new thing that's going on with Steph Curry and Sabrina. I want to say Osheshi. How do you say that? Sorry, I am butchering all these names.
Ionescu.
Sorry, yeah, I've really butchered that. She is part of the WNBA. She's actually shooting 45.
Is that her name?
Yeah.
We're not butchering that.
I know. That I feel very not.
I haven't actually looked at her name like that.
Yeah, because honestly, I'm not very actively watching the WNBA as of now. But with that being said, she's Curry and her doing a cool event. She shoots 45% from 3.
That's nasty.
That's nasty. And with that being said, that's gonna be fun to see.
It will.
And it's gonna. I mean, honestly, if I had to put my money on it, of course I'm putting on Steph Curry. Not because anything more than he's the greatest. He's won the 3-point contest countless times. He's doing stuff even at he's getting older. He's still shooting ridiculous shots.
He is. He's starting games 6 of 6 from 3. Yes.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's the leader in 3-point made, and he's still playing. He's passing people who did complete career work, and he's got 5 more years.
And way less, yeah. He's got 5 more years left.
I mean, I guess that's also an assumption. I guess because of how long, but I feel like he could definitely play. 5 years.
Yeah.
It's totally up to him, sure. But that's gonna be interesting. We'll have to see. And maybe there'll be more integrations with the WNBA,
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if we could ever see a dunk contest with them, just because I don't know if there is
trampoline dunk contest battle. There you go.
There you go.
Both of them we'll just see what you can do off the tramp.
I mean, there definitely is WNBA dunkers. It's just
there is.
I don't know if it's
just a middle mix on it,
Yeah, yeah, that'd be fun. I love to talk. That'd be. We gotta put that in.
We'll have to let the NFL or the NBA know about that one.
Yeah, we'll put that one in. Put that in the little suggestions tab.
Yeah, that'll go right in there.
Yeah. But now, looking at the actual 3-point contest, we have Malik Beasley of the Bucks. Yeah. We have Jalen Brunson of the Knicks. We have Tyrese Halliburton. We have of the Pacers, Damian Lillard of the Bucks. We have Lauri Markkanen of the Jazz. we have Donovan Mitchell of the Cavaliers, and we have Trae Young and Karl Anthony Towns, Timberwolves and Hawks players. So with that being said, what are you thinking? Who's your favorite? I guess
Larry Markkanen's interesting.
Larry
Markkanen's interesting.
I wonder. I'll come back next podcast. I want to know if Larry Markkanen wins this award or wins this. Is he the tallest player to ever win a 3-point contest? If he does this, he's 7 foot.
Has Cat won?
I don't think so. I think they won the. He was the tallest player to win a skills comp.
Oh, Cat was.
I think so because they do the bigs, the guards, and then they play, and then he beat the guard of that. So he was the tallest player to win the skills comp. But yeah, so I think he. I don't know, but that 7 foot sounds like one of the biggest shooters. Yeah. And maybe Cat could do it too because Cat is also 7 foot.
Yeah,
but that's interesting, like you said.
That's very interesting to me, but
yeah,
I mean, great shooters in this. Trae Young, he's always got a shot. You know, there's a lot.
Damian Lillard is the reigning champion.
Yeah.
So we'll see him if he wants to defend his crown.
And
repeat. That would be interesting. And I mean, there's still like Tyrese Halliburton. Maybe
Tyrese Halliburton. We can't forget about him.
I don't know what it's gonna be, the brand.
And even Donovan.
I think it'll be Starry. I think it's like, you know how the Mountain Dew ball, the extra deep ball.
Yep.
I don't know. I think that's gonna be Starry. But anyways, those deeper shots. I wonder how that's gonna go. His style of play is a deeper. Like he likes to pull from about anywhere. Yeah. So does Trae Young. So does Dame. But I'm just saying, like that's gonna be interesting.
How we can do on it, yeah.
Because I mean, Jalen Brunson's also a good shooter, but I think there's definitely there's someone.
And even Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's been very, very, very good.
Right.
Very consistent, scoring a lot of points all the time. So
right.
He could definitely shoot.
Oh yeah, but right now, if you had to predict right now, who do you think is going to win the 3-point competition?
Bro, just give me. I don't know. Just give me Larry Markkanen, man.
Larry Markkanen?
Yeah, why not? That would be it. That'd be cool. I just want to see his big self just shoot a ton of them and be draining. That would be fire.
I like that pick.
Yeah.
I think. You know what? Something about me wants to take a sleeper. I want to take Malik Beasley. I want to take
Malik Beasley.
I want to take someone that no one's gonna expect, and I feel that might just happen.
Malik.
Just because he's a knockdown shooter. I think he's got that in his arsenal.
Shooter. He's gonna be.
You know what? That was.
Cat.
You know what? I think I'm gonna go with. You know what? The first one that came up to mind. We're doing it. Malik Beasley. We're going crazy because honestly, expect the unexpected, and I think that's what I'm just gonna go with that.
All right, probably neither of our picks will win it. But
no, not even close.
Okay,
we picked not the favorite, not even third. Like Dame, Trae. We just picked people over them.
Maybe we could put some money on it, and then it'd be interesting.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, maybe we'll do. You want to do it personally, or we'll do it on FanDuel? Is that what you're saying?
I was just joking.
I was like, damn. But all right, I might do some bets on that too. I've been getting into sports betting, not to change.
On the 3-point.
I don't know. I've been recently turned 21, so I started messing around with it during the end of the NFL season and stuff like that. So it definitely is fun. And speaking of that, we didn't really talk about it on the podcast. Now recording it on Saturday. This is Wesley's birthday.
Yep.
He is now joining, being over 21, and
club.
Now he could technically sports bet. So
I can technically. Yes.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Doing it now for the Super Bowl.
For the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna do any bets for Super Bowl.
I don't. I say the 49ers, but I don't know who's gonna win, bro. I really don't.
That's the part of the bet. I don't know. You don't know when anything's gonna happen, but at the same time, you go with your gut, you go with your pick, whatever.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, that could happen.
You always gotta make sure you pull out in time, or else you lose your money.
Yeah. Before the 49ers game, I had a crazy parlay that was gonna turn was it $10 or $5 to over $3,000. I think it was, and it was crazy stuff. It was and honestly, looking at the game, it was a good thing I didn't do it because none of it would have hit anyways. But I had some crazy. I had like Kyle Juszczyk touchdown. I had like Zach Ertz touchdown. I stopped it because Zach Ertz didn't end up making the active roster. So then I was like, luckily I put my money out. I'm like, all right, so we were good. I mean, it would have been like, I think it was only a couple bucks, so it wouldn't have been like that big of a deal. But still nice to keep that so I can bet something else crazy. I think of the Lions defense scoring a touchdown. So there was no way I was gonna hit on that. But also, ridiculous. If it did hit, holy crap, $3,000 for like $5. I'm crazy.
That would have been crazy, but you didn't have a chance to begin with.
Nope, not even a chance. So with that being said, we kind of covered the All-Star Weekend. Excited. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more next week. But we also kind of just covered it now, so I think we'll probably be good. We'll probably talk about some other stuff. With that being said, talking about a little bit more about the Pistons. We watched them today, and we definitely saw like a new look Pistons. And we didn't get to see Quinn Grimes in the court also. No. He was there. He was on the bench, and he was like cheering everyone on. It was pretty cool to see. But at the same time, that's going to be another piece that maybe certain players don't play for. Stu wasn't playing either.
Nope.
So there's two guys that Monty Williams has to figure out how they're going to put in this rotation. But at the same time, I think this team is better constructed than it was at the first game of the season.
Was it that they didn't score off of any offensive rebounds?
Oh, yes. The Clippers today did not have a single offensive rebound.
They just didn't have a single offensive rebound.
No. That was the first time in franchise history, by the way.
And we lost.
I don't want to talk about this like too much because honestly, I don't like to blame the refs, honestly. But there was this differential for free throws and some calls. I was like, you're really biting us right now as we're playing a third seed in the West, and we are the worst team in the East, and you are just really not giving us anything here.
Right.
But also, this team is full of veteran players that know how to, I don't want to say foul bait, but I will say like make the contact.
They know where to get. They know where to position themselves.
Absolutely.
To get extra buckets. Yes.
Right. Or to draw a foul, or to put themselves in a position to get hit, have the foul, and then be able to still put up a good shot and try to get the N1. So I'm not going to try to like complain about that, but the differential was like we had 7 and they had like 25. And I will say that Cade Cunningham gets hacked so often and doesn't get any calls. Hopefully we eventually can get over that. And Jaden Ivey as well. It's pretty annoying, but also you have to earn those calls too, in a sense, to the NBA. They don't, like, there's certain players that definitely you have a rep, so then these officials definitely probably give you the benefit of the doubt with certain calls. So it's just kind of how it goes. It's not exactly, I don't know if it's a bad thing, I don't really know if it's a good thing. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
But it was a good game, and we had a good lead. We kind of burned ourselves. They came back in a smaller lineup, started hitting threes. We were responding well, but at the same time, we weren't responding enough to hold the lead. We gave it up going into the fourth, we were down. We fought pretty hard. Then PG hit like 3 or 4 like straight threes, and it really like we were down 13 points with like 5 minutes to go, and it was like it felt like we were done. But something about this Pistons team that really encouraged me was the grit, the not giving up. Well, we might not win this game, but we are going to play until the whistle's done, till the clock is at 0.
Yep.
And they battled back, and within like 3 minutes, we were down 7. They had to call a timeout, and then unfortunately that wasn't enough. Paul George iced the game with a pretty nasty layup, and then that was about it. But this game was encouraging. Unfortunately, the Pistons are a young team, and it does seem like a lot of times when the moment hits big, we do go quite cold. Tonight was that same way. Cade was the only player really scoring in the last couple minutes, and that's just something that maybe there's a first game thing also with some of these guys.
Right.
And also with bigger moments, you're going to get the chemistry, and then we have certain things that go better. But at the same time, sometimes the shots don't fall your way.
Yeah. And sometimes they just don't, and it seemed like for us, always in those last 2 minutes, they never fall our way.
And hopefully, we want Ivy's on fire, Jalen Duren's on fire. Like, hopefully we can start to have go-to guys that seriously in the biggest moments.
Hopefully this can snowball into them. Yes.
Right.
Continuing to grow and mature in the league.
Right.
And them playing well is going to help them help.
Right. And had great debuts from our trades. We didn't get to see Quinn Grimes. Hopefully that we see him next game, and that I'm excited to see him. I think it's gonna be.
Yes.
I don't know. I doubt he starts. I doubt he's playing. I bet he's gonna be on the bench, especially because the other guys didn't start either.
Right.
But there's definitely a lot of encouraging play, and I think that it's
encouraging new players and faces that we like for our lineups that we
right.
could potentially have. So
right, and I don't know. All things considered, I don't know if we have to end the season the worst team. No. We're only like a few games away. I think
we're only a few games away.
I think
we don't have to be the worst team. We can have the worst
streak
but
in history.
We don't have to be the worst team.
No,
we don't have to submit to that.
But as much as we've had a very terrible season, we're not the only teams have had. We could definitely jump up a couple of seeds. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, you're going to mess up your draft pick. Well, one, I want to say the fact is, I don't think it matters where we're at in the odds. I don't think we're going to get anything. So we're just going to, I don't think I care about draft odds currently for this team. I think we're just kind of cursed. So, and I think the time we got Cade, we didn't have the best odds. We had the second best odds, and we jumped the Rockets. So I'm not saying that the odds really have anything in our favor. If anything, if we had in our favor, we would have had a top 3 pick. And of course, we had the top odds. The worst we could do was the 5th pick, and what did we land? We landed the 5th pick. That's just the Pistons' luck. Of course, Asar Thompson's great. But
in the draft where
Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, even I know Scoot Henderson's looked shaky, but rookie guards do.
Well, I mean, mostly Victor. I
mean,
it's just,
and that would have been a very interesting connection. It was so exciting to see this young core. Cade, Ivy Durant. If you throw Victor in there, oh my god. But honestly, unfortunately,
I would have liked to see it.
I would have loved to see it.
It would have been great.
It would have been, oh my. Okay. What do you think the record would be? Do you think that we'd be competing for the play-in legitimately?
I think we'd be competing for the play-in. Are you kidding me?
I'm just saying it because the Spurs, I'm also asking, but the Spurs also are struggling. I'm not saying that anything has anything to do with Victor.
Right. So Victor's coming over here with Cade compared to Keldon Johnson.
Right.
Jaden Ivey compared to Devin Vassell. I don't know which way you want to throw that one.
Right.
Ivy's been on fire lately.
Mm-hmm.
And with Duren, Victor and Duren defense is crazy. The rebounds are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You always have the ball. Your defensive prowess is crazy. I feel
maybe if we get Victor, maybe that changes free agency strategies too. Maybe we go, and not that we go all in, but maybe we pay more. We're gonna go for the plan, because I don't know what more you're really gonna add from draft capital. Also, with a idea of if we are bad again, you know what I mean, type of idea.
Yeah.
But anyways, looking at the off season, I did see this thing about potential players to be interested in. One of the bigger ones was the expiring forward from the 76ers, and that was former Piston Tobias Harris. I don't know. I want to hear what you think. I have my own opinions on it. He's getting paid $40 million currently. Of course, that deal expires, and he's going to get a different payday. Whether you think it's higher or lower, too. What do you think?
I don't think he's going to get paid $40 million again, but he's probably going to get paid something like a $17 million or possibly $22 million. Yeah, I could see him in that range just because of his veterancy and him wanting probably to get some money still out of his primer era of his career,
Right.
So, hopefully a 2-year.
Right.
And then we see, something like that. But, yeah, that's what I think is hopefully something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's... if Simone does well, do you want to get a guy that's going to replace that spot?
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. It's now we got guys that we like, and they're going to play, and if they put up 20 and 7, do you need to go pay a guy $20 million?
Right.
I don't know.
And
to do less? I don't know.
I mean, Santi will really get to have a audition of really the rest of the season and being like, are you going to be the starting four? Are you going to be this guy for the foreseeable future? And maybe he's not the starting four, but a high bench player that gets minutes and is deep.
Doesn't look like Lake.
Or Marvin Bagley or James Wiseman.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be interesting. Troy Weaver has to do something this offseason, though. I know that we're excited. I know that, like, the Clippers game looked good and it was encouraging. But you got to add more talent to this roster because what happened this year, it cannot happen again. We need to be going for the plan. We need to be a 30-win team minimum.
Yeah.
Like, we need to make that jump because we're going to have a top pick. At least top 5. I say top 5 because knowing our luck, we're probably going to fall.
Right.
Now, with that being said, whether we look to, like, what we're looking at in the draft, we might combat that. Maybe we get a forward at the first pick, then maybe Tobias also. There's another reason why Tobias isn't going to be here.
Right.
But this team needs to make moves, whether it's in the trade market, whether it's in the free agency market. We have a lot of cap space. We have...
Yes, we do have a lot of cap space.
We have now veteran players that people might be actually interested in, but I don't know.
Like, I just don't know if Tobias Harris is worth...
No.
I just don't know how much he improves, like the what you want to do and what you can do.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right. And I think that this overall will be a very interesting thing because we are going to see Troy Weaver's basically final offseason if he fails. If he fails, and we have another terrible season. If Tom Gores decides to keep this guy, honestly, I think I'm just going to have to deal with my team's going to be bad for a little bit. Especially longer than what I thought. Longer than what I thought. The restore was supposed to happen. We're in year 4, and we are at 8 wins.
We're at the bottom.
We're at the bottom of the East. And granted, we're not that far from being not the bottom, but we're still at the...
We're at the bottom.
And we're games from not being the worst. We're definitely at the bottom. Never mind.
Yeah.
But, with that being said, Troy Weaver needs to make big moves. Because if we do not make big moves, honestly...
Something's got to happen, yeah.
I don't know. But, honestly, I think this was a good podcast. I think that we really ran through a lot of things we wanted to go through. And...
a lot of stuff that we talked about, for sure.
Oh, yeah. The NFL Honors was... Honestly, that show was weird.
The show was weird.
All, interpreted dancing and,
at the beginning was a little...
weird. And there's... I don't know. I know you gotta have entertainment with this stuff. It can't...
Yeah, but we're looking at, it's what were they? They were in Las Vegas. So we're looking at the minds of Hollywood-esque entertainment. You know what I mean? It's that influence. So it's like, we're gonna get, I guess. And that's what, I don't know, that's what happens. I don't know.
It was interesting.
And the award for Play of the Year was also interesting. And what happened with that?
The Play of the Comeback Play of the Year?
No, for the Play of the Year.
Oh, Play of the Year.
Yep. When he walked up on the stage and nobody clapped.
Oh yeah, CeeDee Lamb. I don't know. I didn't remember that when you brought it. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, he just he took the trophy and he kind of put it up and walked away, and no one
was clapping to begin with when they announced him though.
Yeah, which that play.
I think the Xavier Gibson play was a little cooler than that. But,
well, in that play also, I understand it was a 98-yard touchdown, but as a Lions fan, I'm throwing every ounce of salt at that, and I'm saying that was a holding on Jack Campbell, so that was a sack and shouldn't have happened. So I'm just saying, but you know what?
You didn't say anything.
I didn't say nothing.
Yep.
And there's no salt, and I love.
And nobody clapped, so.
Rightfully so. No.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, that was interesting. But I hope you guys found this podcast interesting. As we ran through a bunch of stuff, we're gonna keep doing this podcast. We're gonna keep adding more content. Please comment down below. We want to know certain topics you guys really want us to talk about. We won't always talk about the off seasons because they're coming up. We're going to talk about the playoff pushes for the Red Wings once we get closer and everything like that. And the Lions, of course, we are definitely going to talk about them their offseason, what we want from free agency, what we want from the draft, everything.
Right, little
but
lines.
we're also a ways away. That's why we're maybe not doing that. And also, by the way, like we said, we're not gonna put ourselves in a box. There might be some podcasts that don't have anything to do with sports. We might just go off and talk about some things that we're really interested in.
Yep.
Some big time stuff that maybe is going on. Whatever we want to talk about, because we're locked in.
We're locked in.
So, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this, and please check us out on Spotify if you haven't, if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Spotify, check us on YouTube.
Yep.
And yeah, we got lots of content. My all my stuff is on the screen right now. If you want to check those out, I have content coming out a lot. This is more going to be a weekly podcast, but at the same time, I do content outside of the podcast that do videos about the sports stuff. Like
keep you up to date a little bit.
Yeah, keep you up to date. Talk about some stuff that I found that's interesting, and hopefully maybe we'll do some gaming videos that we can do some Madden stuff, some 2K stuff with some of Wesley being in it, and maybe some of my other friends. But with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be doing another podcast very soon, and stay safe, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.
We'll see you.